Okay, welcome to Marketing Clarity with Outlaunch. My name is CJ. I'm the CEO, and this is a weekly 20-minute session because we want to value your time. So we'll cut it off at 20 minutes regardless. And today we're talking about why your Google ads are not working. Okay, so why your Google ads aren't working is the topic. And is your Google Ads budget being wasted rather than optimized? So I'm going to speak on 3 points: what Google Ads actually buys you, why most local businesses burn money, and how to check where you stand. 3 things you can do this weekend. Now, whenever I talk about marketing, I'm not talking to other specialists in the industry, other agencies. I'm not talking technical, in other words. I like to be as just straightforward and like layman's terms as possible because I'm speaking to business owners like yourself who just want to understand why I'm spending a lot of money to different agencies or trying to do it yourself and why it may not be working the way that you see it work for other people. So the key here is your Google Ads budget being wasted or optimized. Optimized is a term that we don't have to just use for search engines. We can use it for all marketing. And that's the goal with Google Ads, is to try to optimize them to a point where they begin to work. They don't always work the best right out the gate. They go through learning phases. We have to make changes to them. It's trial and error. Any form of marketing is trying to find that right, dialed in, campaign to that right audience with that right message. Okay. So, what Google Ads actually buys you, when you're paying for Google Ads, what you're trying to do is you're trying to pay for that top of the page spot. And we all understand that. We all know that the ads are at the top. And when someone does a Google search, they have high intent. That's why Google Ads are still the wonderful place to get ROI immediately. So if you're trying to get leads immediately, then that's why you do Google Ads. One, the intent. What does that mean, intent? Well, a pool, or let's say a plumber near me, an electrician near me, a landscaper near me, a pool builder near me. These are people who are intending to find someone to hire. So the intent is high because they're searching for someone to hire. Who is this person near me that I can vet and hire? Whereas other platforms, it's more about placement, hoping that they're going to find you. Okay, so whenever someone does these high intent searches, you want to be at the top. And it's the budget that gets you to the top, but it's not always the budget that gets you to the top. Think about it this way. Say you have 10,000 a month to spend, 5,000, doesn't matter, pick a number to spend on Google Ads. So let's just start with the 10,000 number. So you say, okay, I've got 10,000 to spend and I'm service the entire DFW area. So now that 10,000 is going to be diluted across that massive service area, and the people with the higher budgets are definitely going to outbid you at the top. But if you were to take that 10,000 bucks and say, I only serve this one county or this one city or a couple small cities, well, now you're spending a high budget in a smaller location so that you can most likely earn top of page placement because you're the one who has that, you can have the higher bids. Um, Google Ads is all about bids. So when a search term comes, Google looks at everyone who's bidding for that, everyone who says I want to pay money, and then they're going to put the top person there, the top bid there. Because if there's 1,000 plumbers doing DFW and you've got a search with that has 300 people, well, they can't put all 1,000 there. So they have to decide who's the best one to put there. And that's why it becomes an auction and a bid. And it's not always a bid just based off money. It's a bid based off whether they believe you're the best person. That Google still wants to have the best person placed at the top, not just the person who's paid them. So that's why optimization is still a key term here. Like search engines earn their way up to the top with pay per click, you earn your top placements as well. You pay for them, but amongst all the people that are currently paying within that group of payers, you are earning the placement as well. Okay, so that leads me into Google ranks you. And well, how does Google rank you? So whenever you're actually buying Google, how do they decide to place you at the top? And it's based on bid, like I just discussed, but relevance and quality score. So here's a fun concept that a lot of people might not realize. Not everyone pays the same for the same keyword. So let me repeat that and think about this. Not every person or company pays the same price for the same keyword. So let's find an example of that. Let's go back to plumber. Let's say you're a plumber in Dallas and you look and you say, okay, it looks like the bid for plumber in Dallas is going to be $50 per click. And this is just made up numbers right now. I've seen restoration companies as high as 200 plus per click. And then depending on other industries, it could be as low as, $5, $3, $2 per click. Now in the service industry, you're often paying, in the 20s to 30s to 50s to hundreds, depending on the area and the competition. Now, here's where it gets wild. You say to yourself, okay, I'm doing my keyword research, or I'm being told by my agency that it's going to be roughly $50 per click in Dallas for a plumber. And again, I'm just making up numbers. Now, let's say you have 3 or 4 plumbers fighting for Dallas, plumber near me. Now, they're not all going to pay the same amount per click. The person who ends up getting the more clicks and the more conversions is probably going to end up paying less per click. So think about it this way. Let's say you and another company are running ads for the same keywords and your ads don't get clicked, or they get clicked less. And then when they do get clicked, they don't get conversions. So a click is when someone sees your ad, clicks it. Now they land on a landing page or a website. And then when they place a call or a form, it becomes converted. It's not necessarily a lead, because it's more of a contact. So it's a conversion off the landing page that has now reached you. Now, on your end, you hope that that becomes a quality lead. Now, let's say that the other competition is getting a lot of clicks and a lot more clicks than you. And those clicks are converting into contacts a lot more than your pages. Well, Google's going to say, this customer here is providing a better experience. He's getting more conversions on his ads, which means people are liking and trusting this more for some reason, whether it's the message, whatever message, trust, authority is being built here. It's being built on this person more than you. You're getting less clicks, you're getting less conversions. That means people aren't experiencing your ad as well. Maybe the wording in the ad is not doing great. That's why you're not getting clicks. People aren't compelled to click because of the wording. Maybe now that they have clicked, maybe the page they've landed on is not um, matching what the ad said. Maybe it's not giving them enough information. It's not building that trust. Therefore, they don't act. They leave. They don't call. They don't submit a form. So that becomes no conversion or low conversions. So now Google's actually going to charge the person who is getting less clicks and less conversions the higher upper end of that keyword. Whereas the person who's getting more clicks and more conversions, they're going to give them a lower cost for that keyword because they're providing a better experience and they want better experiences. So they'll show that ad more because they know they can get that ad in front of more people. More people will click, more people will convert, and then they'll let the person who's running that ad actually get less cost so that they can get their budget can stretch further and get more conversions. Although we all, hate Google and don't want to give all of our money to Google, Google still wants, its goal is still to provide the best experience, whether it always does that or not. Its intent on its end is to give the searcher the most relevant, in this case, company for what they're searching for. That's still their goal. So we'd like to say that a sharper budget, a sharper ad, can beat out a big budget. Now, some people just run massive budgets and then do it for 3 months and say, hey, that didn't work. The agency stunk. Google stunk, something didn't work or whatever. And then they start questioning Google altogether or ads like, oh, it didn't work for me. It doesn't work for anyone. But then they look around and it's like, well, it seems to be working for other people. Possibly it's the grass always looks greener on the other side. But what I'm compelled to say is that it's not always the highest budget that wins, it's the sharpest ad. Now, if you don't have a big enough budget to compete in the marketplace, then you are going to be at the bottom of the ads. So you won't be in the top of the page ads. You scroll down and then there's bottom ads too at the bottom of the page, and those are, you know, not as likely to get clicks as the ones at the top. But if you do things like tighten up your service area, so you take your small budget, but you concentrate it on a smaller area, now your budget in that area is actually larger. That's one way to help get more out of your budget. Then you sharpen your ads to get more clicks and more conversions. Now you've created a less cost per click for yourself, and Google runs those. So it's more about a sharper ad than a big budget. You want to increase that budget as things begin to work, but a lot of people waste right out the gate for a lot of reasons. So, well, that actually gets me into the next topic, and we're halfway through here. So, why most local businesses burn money? And this is the thing that's common with, I mean, this is just so common. I feel like 9 times out of 10, when people ask questions or come to me, it's I ran $30,000 in 3 months, with Google, and I lost all my money. I got poor leads. I got junk leads. I got non-quality leads. I didn't get any leads, and then boom, they're done. When you look at the lifespan of most people who complain, and I'm not trying to be rude, because this is very common with most businesses. Like I said, 9 times out of 10. But I want to paint a different picture for you. So I'll use words that may not sound exciting, but like when a lot of businesses complain about marketing and they say marketing doesn't work, Google doesn't work, Facebook doesn't work. When you look back, a lot of it, not everyone, but a lot of it stems from no more than 3 months of trial. And 3 months is the minimum to give any marketing. If you put the billboard up, if you do the radio ad, you do the Facebooks, the Googles, all that stuff, the absolute minimum time period here should be 3 months of testing. 1 month is just, if you can't find something in 1 month and you give up, then you didn't even give it a chance. It's like going to the gym and working out. 3 months of going to the gym consistently and working out is where things begin to start maybe looking, like they're working. It's the 6 months. It's not even the 6 months. It's the year of working out where you're like, whoa, I'm looking pretty good. It's the 2 years where you're looking really good. And it's the 3 years where you are just, now you're a bodybuilder or whatever that may be. So same thing with the Google ads. I'm not saying it takes 3 years, but what I'm saying is that if you give up in 3 months, have you really given it a good shot? And most likely the answer is no. But when you spend a lot amount of money right out the gate in those 3 months, it's easy to give up and stop because you are burning. So you got to be careful of how much you start out with when you're testing this out and you're building it up, because you are trying to optimize your ads for the long term. So you want to try to look at this as, I want to advertise on Google, say for 6 months to a year minimum, to really test these things. And you don't just set it and forget it. And same with an agency. You don't just set the agency up and forget it and then just listen to them tell you clicks and conversions. There's more to it than that. So why most local businesses burn money? The three leaks, I would say, within the ads, one of the biggest leaks is broad keywords. So whenever you put keywords in like plumber near me, you have exact, broad, and phrase match. So that means there's a lot of ways to type this stuff in Google. But people are going to search exact words like plumber near me or plumber in Dallas, Texas. So let's say someone builds a campaign for you and they want to target words like plumbers in Dallas, Texas. So if it's plumbers in Dallas, TX, plumbers in Dallas, Texas spelled out, plumbers Dallas without the in, plumbers Dallas, Tex, TX, plumber, there's best plumbers, there's all these variations. So when you put keywords in and you say exact match to Google, then that means Google will only run your ad if someone types the exact word. So best plumber in Dallas TX. If you say exact match for that, any variation of it, like plumbers or Texas spelled out, it won't search for that. So when you get exact with your keywords, that's one way to really dive in on a very specific search term that you're trying to rank for. So the more exact you get, the better. But then you're cutting your numbers off. So you're not getting as volume. So going all the way exact, you want to have exact words in there, but probably not only exact words. Then you got phrase match. So what's a phrase version? So someone types Dallas, plumbers Dallas, Texas, but you do a phrase. Well, it's variations of that, like plurals, adding the word in, Texas spelled out, not spelled out, but it's different phrases of that word. So it's not going too off, it's not going too crazy. Phrase match and exact match is where you want to be. Where most people get screwed is broad keywords. If you put a keyword like plumbers near me and you say broad, well, it could be anything, like I don't know. I just blank completely, but how to install my own plumbers something near me and blah 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 blah. It could be just something that's not even close to making a purchase, but something that's more maybe looking for an answer or something that just becomes not relevant because it's broad. And a lot of people type a lot of things in Google. So the first thing right away is to ask your agency or check in on your keywords that you're doing in your own account. Do I have a lot of broad keywords in there? You don't want that. You want phrase matches and you want exact matches on things. And you want to be negativing keywords. So another thing is companies don't put negative keywords. So when you go and you look in your list every day, what you're going to see is, oh, I got some great keywords, but a lot of things sneak through. Maybe other company searches that you don't necessarily want to waste money on. Maybe that's part of your tactic. That's a whole nother topic. DIY, maybe you see like DIY, plumbing, or how to this. So then what you can do is you can make a keyword negative, and you can make it negative on a broad stance or an exact stance or a phrase stance as well. So say you don't like DIY, well, then you can make anytime someone says anything with DIY added to any keyword you have, negative that out. And anytime a DIY search comes in, boom, you're off the list. You're not getting an ad run for that. You're not going to waste a click on someone searching for DIY or how to type words. So the keywords is one of the main things. That's definitely always been first and foremost. Sending every click to a homepage or just the site is bad news. It could work kind of, but you want to send to a specific page that matches that ad. It's called the landing page. And then not tracking your conversions. A lot of people don't have good conversion tracking on there. Google will measure everything based on your conversions. So we have about 3 minutes left. I want to show you where you stand, but I want to say this one last point. This is how everything wraps up. Okay. And that is when Google runs an ad, they do three things: run the ad and put the ad in front of people. That's called impressions. So the more impressions you get, then you want them to click when they see the ad. So the clicks come from impressions. So the more clicks you have a high click-through rate. So the first goal is to get a high click-through rate. A lot of times when people start running their ads, they put a goal of a conversion rate, but you don't want to make a goal of conversions until you have clicks. So you make a goal of clicks so that Google can start running ads based on your goal of getting more clicks. So now you're getting more clicks. People are liking content. And then you switch over to a conversion goal. What that means now is you've got high clicks. So you know that your Google's running your content in front of people and they're liking that content. So it's clicking. And then now you want to try to see how many of those clicks are turning into conversions. So you want to measure your conversions. Every time you get a conversion, now you make a conversion goal. The more conversion goals that Google sees, the more that that it's going to start pushing the ads towards those goals. So if you're getting bad conversions, Google's going to optimize for bad conversions because all it sees is conversions. So you want to be getting good conversions, and now it's going to be optimizing for good conversions. So the ultimate goal here is getting great clicks, turning those clicks into conversions and having Google optimize for those conversions. But if you're not tracking conversions and you're not tracking clicks because you don't have tracking set up properly, which is not an easy thing to do, it's one of the hardest, it's a thing that you'll find a lot of agencies don't set up conversion tracking, right? But that's the whole key. So it's 1 minute. So how to check where you stand right now. Look at your campaigns. Are you running one campaign, two campaigns? Are you running a campaign for multiple services, or do you have your services broken out into multiple campaigns? Are you doing too many campaigns for your budget? I suggest only running one or two or three campaigns based off the services. If you're HVAC, do an HVAC campaign. If you're plumbing, do a plumbing campaign. Don't merge them. Do it based on your separate services, and then but don't do it based off separate locations like audiences. Make sure that's going to landing pages and not your home page, and make sure you have conversion setups. And look, we're at 20 minutes. So Google Ads doesn't have to be a money pit. It's a faucet that you can control, and you have to track what is converting. So turning these clicks into customers is a whole nother beast. We're going to talk about that next week for 20 minutes, same time next Friday, turning clicks into customers. After this ends, you're going to get a link to sign up for the next session, or you can do a one-on-one booking with me. Just go to our website as well, outlaunch.marketing, and right there you can click book a call with me, or you can go to resources, live series, and click the next session, turning clicks into customers. All right, thank you for your time. I ran a minute over, but I appreciate it. Have a